Welcome to the Community Workbench. Today we have John Jenna. John, today we also have a co-host, Kyle Morrissey. And John Jenna has recently gone from a full-time job to just going out on his own for a small business.
Yep.
JG Creations. John, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit more? Give us a little bit more about what you do, where you came from.
So JG Creations, for starters, is a one-stop shop for personalization. I do laser engraving, everything from phone cases, wallets, cups, custom plaques, you name it, I can engrave it. The only thing I really don't do right now is glass, and that is something that's on my docket to look at. A third laser that would do glass. It's a UV.
Wow.
But where I came from, I'm a Marine, first and foremost.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I started as an aircraft mechanic, eventually went back with my engineering degree, taught for about 10 years, and then I got into engraving as a hobby. So I bought my first laser in 2018 as a hobby machine, something that I could I wanted to be able to mark wood. So obviously you're a wood guy.
Yep.
Years and years ago, I used to use the old wood burning pen. If you remember those, where
Yep.
you'd heat up the little brass tip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, so I would sign my wood stuff with a wood burning pen. I'm like, this is cumbersome. Like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And I did some research, and I found some hobby lasers, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna buy one of these. I think it'd be kind of fun to play with. And sure enough, I bought it, and I outgrew it within 3 months.
So wait a minute. You started out as just going to do woodworking on the side, and when it came to putting your signature on your products,
Yep.
you were like, I want to get a laser for that.
Yep.
And then you kind of discovered that laser engraving is more your cup of tea than
I mean, I did use them at work. So, I said, I was an aircraft mechanic. I was an engineer. While engineering, I used to go out on the floor and help with some of my products. So I was in manufacturing at a local company down in Plainfield. And we had gotten into a lot of serializing of aircraft components that we were making. So we used to have to run them out to a company that was out in, I think it was out past Wyndham, one of those towns in between Wyndham and Manchester on Route 6. Eventually the owner's like, we're spending a lot of money. There's got to be a way we can do this in-house. So he picked up a fiber laser, which I didn't know anything about at the time. And I started playing with it. I'm like, wow, this thing is fun. And ironically enough, the first time I used it for personal purposes on my own time was I made, those little cheap aluminum flashlights you buy at Walmart in like a 10-pack? They're anodized aluminum, like red, green, blue. I did those, and I shouldn't say this, but I put the Cub Scout emblem on them.
Oh, okay.
This was before I knew about copyright infringement. So I did those for my scouts.
Yeah.
So this was Anthony's den. And I'm like, that was the bug. Then I'm like, ooh, I want one. I got to have one of these at home. Let's do some research. And it took a couple of years before I had the money to buy my first one, because I didn't want to buy one of the, if you've ever looked at lasers, which most people haven't, you can find them on Amazon and eBay for like $200.
Oh, wow.
Make no mistake, that's not what I own. I have industrial lasers. Those are very unsafe. And
yeah, I've been to your shop. You've got quite a setup. That's pretty awesome.
That's my big thing. Is I want, being an engineer and being in manufacturing, I need repeatability. I need to be able to repeat within a couple thousandths of an inch, or I'm not happy. So, long story short, there I bought a hobby laser for a couple grand, and I played with it, and I realized what it could and couldn't do, and then I was like, okay, this is something I can really get down with. And at the time, my mom was a very crafty person as well. And she's like, you got a knack for this. You ought to really pursue this. So I was like, all right, Mom. And like, well, help me come up with a business name. Let's joke around about this a little. So she helped me with a business name, and
Yeah.
she ended up passing a few months later. But I stuck with that name because I'm like, well, Mom helped me with it. That's
Where you're going with.
That's where I'm going with this. And it was still a pipe dream. Unfortunately, my old man passed like less than 6 months later. I'm like, you know what? I got to do something with this, because they were both supportive of it. And like I said, I was a teacher, so
Yeah.
I had summers off. I worked for one of the local colleges. I had summers off, and I'm like, I got time during the summertime. What can I do during the summertime to make a little bit extra money? That's where JG Creations was born.
Nice.
So it was supposed to be a summer thing. Well, then the world shut down from COVID.
Oh.
And I am not lying. I ordered my machine in January, and it takes time to get this thing built. I got my machine on Wednesday, the Wednesday before the Friday that the world shut down.
Oh, no kidding.
Literally dropped my laser in the driveway on Wednesday, and I was setting it up, and I was all excited because at the college they gave us a week off, right? Remember this?
Oh,
We're just
yeah.
going to shut
Yeah.
everything down for a week.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, this is great. It's spring break. and that's when it was. They're like, you're not going to come back from spring break. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to have 2 weeks to play with this machine before I go back to work.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Huh.
I had a lot more time.
Wow. Now you probably had to do because the summer came pretty quickly after that. But
It did.
you have to work from home as a professor or as
yeah.
a teacher? Yeah.
Yep.
So that was another dynamic thrown into
It was
everything.
but all this technology goes hand in hand. So working from home from a professor status, I taught engineering and manufacturing classes. I wasn't teaching English or something. So I had to bring my dynamics of being in a classroom, which I'm kind of colorful guy,
Yeah.
I had to bring that into my basement. So you have your studio. I set up a studio
For
in my basement. So I had a 7-foot whiteboard, which is in my garage now, my shop. I had multiple cameras, kind of like you got going on. I had microphones, and I learned how to switch between cameras so I could show the students what I was doing on my desktop, but then I could also get up and do stuff on the whiteboard when I was teaching math and whatnot.
yeah.
All of that came into play because now I use some of that same technology of hey, how am I going to do this?
Right.
What am I going to do? And I realized I just leaned back a little.
That's all right.
What am I going to do to bring all of this full circle? And that's how I kind of bring all that technology back around.
Yeah. Wow. So engineering down to a thousandth of an inch. That's I was a carpenter. And we're like a 16th week is what we say.
And 1,000th is really, most people when I say 1,000th, they're like, oh, that's 0.1. I'm like, no, really, that's machinist talk. 1,000th is 1/10,000th of an inch, 0.001. And realistically, that's a mile for us because we're used to working in tenths, which is
Yeah. Even finer.
4 decimal places.
Yeah.
I misspoke. I said 1,000th is 0.1. 1,000th would be 0.01 for most people. But regardless, it gets you into that very, very high precision. And I bring that into the laser world because I like repeatability. I like manufacturing where you put stuff together, it fits. There's no gap. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about my big boy, my CO2 laser. When I cut a fine line on that, I'm looking at your dovetail jig over here,
Yeah.
or your dovetail. When I do some of my wood stuff, and I'll show you some pictures after, there is barely a line.
Nice.
I will cut stuff out and fit it together and nest it, and it's like maybe 0.002 of an inch. So the laser head I use most of the time is I think the beam size is like 4.5 thousandths.
Wow. What's that like compared to human hair?
What's a human hair? I don't know. I know. 4.5 thousandths is it's a sheet of paper is I believe 0.5 millimeter, which I think is like 15 thousandths of an inch.
Wow. Okay. So you're
Plus or
I
minus.
think human hair is pretty thick.
Yeah.
Comparative.
Well, like when you say you can't see it, it's like okay, what's comparable to that to the normal person?
So comparable to the normal person, you have your drafting. we have, let's see if I can get that screen to go back on. So you think of a drafting board or a whiteboard.
Yeah.
If you take an expo marker and you kind of color a little,
Like a dot?
like a streak.
Oh,
Let's call
okay.
it a streak. And you run your finger across it very lightly, and you can still see like the red and then the white. That's 10,000ths of an inch, like a couple 10,000ths of an inch.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So that's like,
It's, yeah, so you think of the thickness of an expo marker, it's probably like 10 grand thick
Right.
when you write on a board.
so that's like, so I know I've done closing gifts with you, and they came out phenomenal. We had, you do the custom engraving, and you were telling me about how like certain brands of cups, whether it be, large brands or no name brand, they have different thicknesses of the powder coating on them.
Of the powder coat, yep.
Yeah. So you basically have to do a trial and error to get that depth, to take the paint away or the powder coating away to see the metal,
Right.
which becomes your engraving.
Yeah, so most people don't realize what's actually going on. So, and that's the difference why I have a couple different lasers. So, with a CO2 laser, the wavelength does not etch metal per se. It will take off paint. You could do wood. You could do. I don't want to say you can do plastic with that one because that's not safe.
Gotcha.
It's not.
It'll melt it?
It's not meant. Yeah. Well, it's more about certain plastics will have a chlorine gas like PVC. It's primarily slate, wood, paper, cardboard. You can do glass.
Yeah.
Powder coating it loves. The best part about the powder coating is the wavelength takes off the powder coat and it does not mess up the stainless steel underneath. That's why.
Right.
That's
Okay.
why they look so nice. They're
Yeah.
wicked
Clean,
shiny.
crisp.
Once you have your parameters right.
Right.
You got a lot of places out there, hobby shops, and the difference between what I say a bona fide business and a hobby shop is I'm all about quality and repeatability. I'm not happy if it doesn't look perfect. That's going in the scrap pile. I don't care what it costs me.
Yeah.
In order to get to that point, you got to spend money. You have to throw away a lot of parts. You have to test. So what you were saying is, I will buy. You bring me a Yeti cup, and I have my love-hate brand, with Yeti.
Right.
They're high quality, but as a business owner, I can't buy those for wholesale, so I can sell them. I
Gotcha.
buy them for the
Yeah.
same price you.
Yeah.
But any brand you buy, you got to practice on them.
Right.
You got to find your sweet spot where it works every single time. That doesn't happen with one test. That happens with a lot of tests to
Right.
make sure that you can repeat it.
Yeah. You were showing me some of the testing you did from early on, and you had just cups that were just like burnt or
Stacks of them in
yeah,
the corner.
just-
Do you stay with the same manufacturer
I
so
do.
that you don't have to keep
I do.
burning
Yeah.
through product?
No, I absolutely do. So I use the supplier that I use, and I will tell anybody that comes to my house, you want something and you want me to stand behind it, let me do it with the products that I know.
yeah.
Because if I do, I can guarantee you it's going to be flawless. If you bring me a cup from Walmart, I'm going to tell you straight up, like, I will do it, but I can't guarantee you the quality. I know that I can get real close. Parameters don't change as much as you would think,
Right.
but I won't guarantee it. I can't.
Right.
I had it happen recently.
Yeah.
It was a last minute job with some really nice cups. They were beautiful.
Yeah.
Big name brand I won't mention, but they engrave like garbage. And I'm
Wow.
like, I will never, ever bring those in my shop again because there was no repeatability from one to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does definitely affect. But that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You know, you have to know that. Not everything, it's like wood. I mean, wood,
Yeah.
you engrave wood. You love working with wood. How many of us have been cutting on a saw? You're ripping something through a table saw. It's going beautiful. There's no knots that you can see, and you hit that spot
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, and next thing you know, you're getting a knock in the chest if you don't have your knives down, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The wood, being that it's alive and until it's in your shop, basically,
Yep.
it has soft spots, hard spots, petrified spots, whatever.
Yep.
And it's always interesting when you put a saw to it.
Yeah,
you
you
just
just-
got to be ready.
Yep. Got to be safety. You have all your safety stuff in play.
Yeah. So now with a laser, I would imagine the same kind of thing comes in with, like if you're doing maple versus pine, that's got to be different tolerances for the laser, but it pretty much always burns it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's different. So for the people out there that know machine and stuff, there's a term people use: speeds and feeds when you're in a machine shop. I think you said your dad was a machinist, so you might.
He was a draftsman,
Okay,
but
he was
my
a
uncle
draftsman.
was a machinist.
Your
yeah.
uncle.
Yeah.
Speeds and feeds is our world in a CNC world.
Gotcha.
Everything is speeds and feeds. Laser, kind of the same. I have to deal with speed. I don't deal with feed. I deal with power. How many watts or how much power am I throwing at my plasma beam?
Mm-hmm.
So, pine, because of the nature of the grain, if you know how pine is, pine has sometimes very wide. Oh dang it! Has very wide grain.
Yeah.
Whereas you get into maple's super super tight.
Right.
That's why it's a hardwood.
Yeah.
Maple, oh my God, it's so beautiful when it burns. It's like this nice brown hue.
Yeah.
Whereas pine has a hue, but sometimes you have this ripply effect where the plasma hits the grain and it's exposed, and you get this kind of a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Some people love it. As a woodworker, I love it. As a machinist or engineer, I hate it because it's not crisp and clean.
Yeah, you lose your precision.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So I have, my wife constantly reminds me, she's my sounding board. I'm like, hey, Amy, what do you think of this? She's like, oh my God, it's gorgeous. And I'm like, yeah, but it looks like crap because it's all wavy. She goes, but that's the beauty of it. It's you're seeing the wood. And I'm like,
Yeah.
She's quality control.
she is. She laughs. She's like, why are you throwing that away? There's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, oh, see that little speck right there? I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I'm sure she has a little to do with the numbers too.
She looks at it. So, but yeah, it really does. When it comes to woods, different woods look great. I have some that I love working with. I love working with poplar. It's that beautiful transition between a hardwood and a softwood, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah.
So you've seen some of the poplar stuff around my garage.
Yeah.
Stuff in different areas. Some of the signs, as a matter of fact.
Right. I was just thinking the
villagers.
plaques and the signs.
Yep.
And then, like, even when we went to, so for those of you who don't know, John and I we do Cub Scouts. He's been in much longer than me, and I'm trying to come along and be a leader of some sorts. But we were both at Scout Camp this year up at June Norcross, and turns out John had done all of the name tags for the entire staff for that week, and I still have mine too. And that was pretty cool. That they're like were they green?
They're one by. So let's see. I did them for the whole summer camp. So I did them for 7 weeks. We had. I'm trying to remember the two colors. Green was for.
Oh, so there was
volunteers.
different ranks.
There was two colors. Green and white was for volunteers through the summer, so like your leaders. And then for camp staff,
was it red? Red and white?
is it red or
Why
was
am
it
I
black?
thinking red? Oh,
I can't remember
Yeah.
now. And I just did these. I mean, I did like 800 name tags over the course of the summertime.
They
Yeah.
would.
No, it's actually a product called oh my God, I just forgot the name of it. Yeah, my brain's slipping me.
Basically,
Anyways,
they have a
it's-
colored veneer,
Yes.
and then when you etch them,
Yep.
the white shows.
the white
through.
shows up. So there's a
okay.
top
lettering.
layer is only like 5 thousandths thick, and then underneath is white. So you have like red, white, blue, white, black, white, green, white. But then you have reverse, where Cub Country was yellow, but the substrate was black. Those ones were money.
Oh,
They
that's
just
cool.
looked cool. I have some that are orange and black that I can't wait till somebody orders. I mean,
Yeah.
those ones I think are awesome too. But so you can buy all these different colors. There's a couple different manufacturer names out there, and ironically enough, I've found through testing that I actually like the quote-unquote no-name brand better than the one that everybody else uses.
Oh, wow.
because I just found that when I hit it with my laser, it fluffs up almost like cotton candy, which is not necessarily good for your machine when you have a plasma beam shining down, because that stuff becomes flammable.
Oh,
So there's all these different things that goes into it. People are like, oh, it's just a laser. Like, yeah, but if you want to make money with it, there's a lot more to it. There's air pressure, and I'm talking like half a psi can make or break
Yeah.
something.
wow.
You have a laundry list of stuff you've caught on fire.
So ironically enough, this picture right here, Oh no, it just shut off. This picture right here, I keep this nozzle on there as a reminder. If you look right at the bottom of that nozzle, it's a little dark. Right at the bottom it says this
Oh yeah.
elbow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a safety thing that we all talk about in the forums. Like, do not leave your laser. You don't leave it. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
It's a plasma beam. It
Yeah.
burns, right?
Right.
I was doing wood, and the blue tube that comes down isn't actually air. So the air comes down into that elbow, and inside of the blue nozzle right here, and I can use a pointer to do that, right inside here, like right about here, is where the actual lens is. The meniscus is what causes, the focal point of the beam
Yeah.
from the plasma beam. It's way back. So anyways, that air comes in, and what it does is it keeps the air off the actual laser lens, so that way the smoke doesn't get on it. Well,
Okay.
I was doing wood, and the wood caught fire like that. Wow. And the amount of time it took me to reach over and smack my e-stop,
What kind of wood was it?
I was probably doing pine, because this
Yeah.
was like,
If it's just a bit too
Couple
strong,
weeks.
it fries it. Huh?
yeah, it was like 2 weeks in. I was practicing and learning my machine.
Yeah.
So I learned. So I leave that on there specifically as a reminder of why, that's a safety thing for me.
Yeah.
It kills me that I leave it in this picture, and I was talking to you about this before. I'm like, oh, it's so embarrassing. But in all reality, that's a testament to it was a lesson learned.
Right.
Do not turn your back. So what you don't see, like right next to my machines, and you've been in my shop, I have a fire extinguisher right next to my
Right.
machine.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a high-end Halotron fire extinguisher that, I've never had to use it. I never want to use it.
Does
Yeah.
that have a extinguish system in it? So
No.
if it got too hot, it would just keep burning.
No, but it does. So yes, on a too hot. If it gets
It's too hot. It
there
just
are,
shuts off.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If there was a fire inside there is there are not, those aren't proc sensors, the heat sensors.
Yeah.
That it would actually shut down the machine down. That's the difference between having an industrial machine and having a no-name.
Right. Just
Yeah.
something
Run of the
anybody
mill.
could have.
Yeah, because those ones are dangerous. And that's really the big thing.
Yeah.
You pay in for the safety features, and not for nothing.
Right.
I will pay gladly for safety features.
Right,
Yeah.
For a reason.
So like let's take it through like a typical day
Okay.
with you, and like how I know it's in your garage
Yep.
from your home, and so like you come out coffee in hand, I'm sure. And like
yeah.
what's a typical day like? And
Let's see. Yeah, so like 6:30. The first thing I do in the morning, obviously, I'm an early bird anyways, but I take Anthony, I drop him off at the bus garage, so he doesn't have to sit on a bus for an hour, and then that's perfect because 6:30 is when I like to start the shop. So I usually, like you said, I go to the coffee pot, I fill up my cup, and out to the garage I go. It's already heated up. I keep my garage heated anyways, but
Right.
more so because of my machines.
Did
Yeah.
you put the heat in because you started working out there, or
Because of the
existing?
machine.
Gotcha.
The
Yeah.
CO2, my big boy, I'll show you a picture of it later. That there is actually has a water jacket around the plasma beam, and
Oh,
the
wow.
tube is about 6 feet long. And if that freezes, I'm out $1,000 in a couple weeks.
Oh,
to
Wow.
get a new
Okay.
one.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
my garage
no messing
never
around.
goes. I keep my garage at 50, and in the wintertime, when I'm ready to start working, it's usually around 68. But so I go out there with my coffee, do the typical business stuff. I check my email, see if I got any orders overnight. I go through, I bounce a couple things, and then if I'm kicking right into a job, which is awesome, I fire up my machines, I get my laser software going, and I multitask because I run both machines at the same time.
Gotcha.
So, but I mean, some days look, let's be honest, your business, a big part of it isn't just running your machines. A big part of it is marketing and
Right.
networking.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm just designing, and it's a frustrating thing because there's no value added at that immediate moment.
Yeah.
Right.
you can
It's a
make it
long-term value.
yeah. So that's a little frustrating at times. You're like, oh God, I spent the whole day and all I did was I posted 15 different things to Facebook and Etsy and, my website, and I
Yeah.
didn't make a single dollar.
Yeah.
But
Making posts and
3 weeks down the road, it's like,
Right.
drive-in engagement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like a piece like this,
Yep.
this is slate now.
Yes, it is.
And then whenever you heat up the slate, it goes white automatically like that, right?
Yeah, it really does.
It's wild to me when you told me
That's
about
great.
that.
It is. So this is slate. It's prepared. Okay, so everybody, people know slate. Usually it's at, well, I say slate gray. Well, that doesn't explain anything. It's that very matte gray.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, not chalky, but
Yeah.
Almost like a gray charcoal
Yeah,
type of
yeah.
flat color.
So
Yeah.
this has this one particularly I know has polyurethane on it. I have a couple of different processes I do based on how I'm using them. So
Okay.
knowing that this was going to be a sign, I opted for polyurethane. If this was going to be a charcuterie board or maybe coasters, I would go with
An edible.
yeah,
Clear
really.
coat.
I like using butcher block oil
Yeah, yeah.
because it's natural.
Right.
Right? So this is why I love slate. This is not Photoshop. This is legitimately, I took this photo probably 45 times at different micro angles. That white is truly white. You've seen
Right,
some of this.
yeah.
So does it burn the slate, or is that just the product of?
Yes and no. It does. It
It's a
actually,
combination.
It's a
That's-
combination of, it's that chemical reaction that happened, or excuse me, is that not right? That's not really chemical. It kind of is.
Well,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
say
because
that's
if
a
you
chemical.
like broke a piece off, it's not white inside.
No,
it's
absolutely
like
not.
gray.
Yeah,
right?
so it's
Right.
that heat. It's the heat.
It changes the.
Changes the composition at the upper layer.
Yeah.
Now, that took me a long time to get that white, and I've actually had some, and it's kind of a confidence boost to me when I look at some of what I call my mentors, guys that are doing some really awesome stuff on the forums, and they look at this, go, "Oh my God, dude, how did you get that so white?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, cool, dude. You
Is that
like
a
what I'm
higher
doing."
temperature thing or just a sweet spot?
I found
You
a
a
sweet spot.
Okay.
Wow.
Found a sweet spot.
That's cool.
That's all it is.
Now, have you on subsequent pieces? Is it the same? It'll come out similar,
Yeah.
or you haven't done much of the slate?
I've done a lot of slate.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
So like, here's a couple different pieces. I know it's weird when you, come on. So like, you can see that's still very weird.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now the photos, I'm still, I need to take some notes from you with these these muted lights. So I have a light box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've taken anything you see now that has the white background. I've been doing them in light boxes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so slate I love working with it. It just has such an amazing. I'm looking for a couple other pieces.
There you go.
Yeah, that's cool.
It just has this beautiful white contrast. Yeah, so
And I will say, like, as a realtor, like, as a closing gift, having those, like, family name signs or established 2023, whatever, for, like, people love that. And then I also got mugs for each of the kids and whatnot going, moving into the house and stuff. So it was, like, as a realtor, these products are awesome.
well, so you know what the best part? And I started to tell the story. You stopped me. This slate, there's a story behind it. So I love stories. This is how I taught. And I think that's why
Bring it.
I had a good rapport with my students because I was, I love telling stories and bringing it all full circle. My uncle was a rubber roofer for his whole life. Okay. So him and his wife at some point later on in his life, and it was back in the mid 80s, mid to late 80s. I don't remember it being there. Anyways, doesn't matter. But it was right around that mid 80s, late 80s, maybe 1990. So I was almost out of high school at the point. Him and his wife had this opportunity. He was doing a roof that was all slate. It was a church in Sutton, Mass. So the church was like, "Hey, we want you to replace our roof." He's like, "Okay." And they're like, "Just get rid of this slate." And you're talking, this slate is a couple 100 years old, right?
Yeah.
He takes it all down, and his plan was they were going to do a project with it at their house in New Hampshire. Long story short, it never happened. So it was all stacked up on pallets and covered with rubber roofing material, which if you've never seen, it's that nice thick stuff. Is awesome, better than any tarp you'll ever buy. She had how many pallets? I want to say there was 4 pallets. Okay, so this would have been right around COVID time.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, JT, My family calls me JT.
Oh, okay.
That's my nickname. So she's like, hey, JT, Uncle Frank, my past years ago when Amy and I first got together, she goes, I'm selling the place, and basically, do you have any use for the slate? I know you're playing around with a laser, and at that time, I was literally playing around. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I wonder if I could do anything with this. So I go on my Facebook forums, like, anybody do anything with slate? And they're like, oh yeah, we're doing coasters, we're doing this. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, hey, Aunt Deb, I'll take it. She's like, how much you want? I'm like, I'll take it all just to get it off the property because it's going to go in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Right.
So I literally have like 3 pallets of this stuff at my house.
You have to move it all by hand.
I did. I did it in 3 loads because at that time I had my Subaru Outback, I think.
So how far away do they live in New Hampshire?
Raymond. So it's a 2-hour ride.
Oh my God.
So the first load, no, actually, maybe I did have my truck at the time, but the first load was like I used with my landscaping trailer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, you know how that goes. It's a 5x8. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
I think I took like a half a pallet. I went up there with the pickup truck, man. I loaded that thing. It was sagging. So I did 3 loads, stacked it all up. So I tell people, like, look, this stuff has a story. It's
Right.
not
Yeah.
just, I didn't just buy it from Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I say that's only for my signs and my
Right.
my hand cut stuff. Obviously, if I'm doing coasters and stuff, I have to buy those wholesale. I can't make any money if I'm hand cutting. So I actually have some cool videos, and I want to post someday where I process it, where I literally will take this 200-year-old slate. I suit up, I have my bib on, I have a full face respirator, and I hit it with a 90-degree wire wheel, and I grind it all down, sand it, I wash it, I dry it, and then I hand rub it and I cut it to size. So I went to a place in England to buy an actual slate cutter. Can't get them in the United States.
No
I actually
kidding.
found a special order from England. And you know what it looks like? Remember the old paper cutters we used
Yep.
to
Yeah.
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 It looks like a guillotine.
Yeah.
And it just scores it, and then you
Nope.
pop it.
Actually, it works like the old paper cutters where you... So you
Really?
actually...
And it doesn't crack.
It does crack if
It
you're
does
not
crack.
careful. So I will do that, and I will sit there, and I got a knack for it now. I made a jig where I bolt it down to my bench, and I'm like, and I can cut it, like nibble it away.
Wow.
Whereas most people are going and just buying it, I'm like, hey, this has a story.
Right. That, and it
Perfect.
gives you that more customizable.
Right. Yeah.
So even eventually, when this runs out,
Yeah.
you're gonna buy more or whatever, and
mean,
you'll
you
have
probably-
that. You'll have a way to modify it if need be.
Yeah,
it
and
becomes more customizable.
You see people selling it. You see,
Yeah.
people, I mean,
Nobody wants it.
nobody.
If
nobody
you
wants
do
it, but
enough
they sell it.
digging, yeah.
But they sell it. These people think they're sitting on a gold mine, which for crafters that they'll pay like $5 to $10 a piece. I'm sitting there going, "Wow, my God!" I'm like, I got a lot of money. I felt bad taking it from my aunt. She just wanted me to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Right.
times I'm like, man, hey Aunt Deb, I'm gonna write you a check for some money here because this is a lot of money. But you have to put the work in.
Right.
It's not free.
Yeah.
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 It does take a lot of work, but it's so worth it.
Once in a while, life throws you an easy hit, and then obviously knowing you'll pay it forward.
Oh yeah.
That's how it always goes.
She gets free stuff all the time. I'm like, actually, I want to order this from you. It's Christmas time. I want to order 5. Yeah, whatever, Aunt Debbie. I'll send it to you. What do you want on there? It's in the mail. Don't worry about it.
Nice. Now, the wood products that you have here, those are absolutely gorgeous as well. If you want to just kind of keep going through your products
Let's start with
on
this
your
one.
website.
Dude, I got to talk about this. So,
Beer tap in.
dude, this isn't even the best photo. Local friend of ours he was in distributing, and he came to me a couple summers ago. He's like, hey, could you make beer tap handles? I'm like, sure. He's like, we don't know what we want. And I'm like, oh, this is what I love. People come to me with an idea and they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Give me the facts and let me make you something and we'll see what we can
Right.
do. So the story behind this was Mohegan Sun was working with Outer Light Brewing, and for a couple, unfortunately it's not there anymore. I just found out it was like a year run. They worked with Outer Light Brewing to create a beer specifically for Mohegan Sun. It's only sold in Mohegan Sun. They put it in cans only to be sold at the couple of little kiosk stores and stuff. But the rest of it was on tap. So he's like, hey, I need, I think it was like 30. And it's a small run. So most of the big tap companies like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So I have an awesome video on this from start to finish it. I actually put together. It's on my website somewhere.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's on my Facebook. I don't have it on my website. But these were poplar, multiple stages. I literally used a laser to cut them, engrave them. I painted them red first. I taped them. I put them back in a special jig that I built specifically for this job. I taped them, did the white, taped them again, and then did the blue. So this was in and out of the laser 4 times.
Oh.
Now, as a woodworker, I think you can respect this, where you go, I have to have this thing line up perfect every single time.
Right.
Yeah.
So the engineer and designer part came out. I'm like, what can I do? So I developed this whole system of how I bolted it into my machine. I had a jig on my drill press to put the threaded inserts in for the what do they call those, ferrules? I think they call them ferrules, the metal piece that's on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So those are threaded in.
Hook up.
Yeah.
But these things were freaking awesome. The best part was the guy gave me a 6-pack of the beer that didn't even have the name on it yet. It wasn't named. They gave me the name like hours before I was ready to start making them. Wow. So I had the beer before I had the actual tap.
Did you save one that you made?
The beer?
No. The taps.
I have one of the scrap ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't save
Because they're probably not at Mohegan Sun anymore.
They're not. They're probably at some executive's desk. So Amy and I went down to there for our anniversary. I'm like, oh, we got to go to one of the. It was only in like the, I don't know how exactly they set up, but they have like
Convention centers and stuff.
Well, no, they have like their local bars, and then they have like the Toby Keith.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they have like chains versus.
Yeah. So it's only at the
the local bar.
I call it a local bar.
Yeah, but it's basically Mohegan's bar.
So do I have one of it? I think I might have one down here somewhere where it was, nope, it's not there. Let's do this. There's a cool picture of the actual hole taps. Give me a second.
While he's finding that, I'll put in a plug for myself. Matt Norton, Remax Bell Park. For all your real estate needs, call 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. John, that is awesome.
Dude, that right there, the day I took
cool.
that picture.
Yeah.
I'm smiling right now because that was like one of the biggest jobs I had done at that point. And this was when I was still part-time. To walk into a Mohegan Sun, and there is one of my products sitting there.
Did you see it live and you got something out of it?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I sat right there and ripped a couple pints right off.
Nice.
Why are we lying? I mean, come on. I love IPAs. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment and just gives you a great sense of pride. Now, back to the process.
Yeah.
Are you saying like you painted the 3 layers and then with the laser took the paint off to reveal the one underneath?
No. So I took the shape. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is poplar. So I put a poplar board in there. The first thing I did was I cut out the whole shape.
Yeah.
With the laser.
With the laser. Wow. Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
Coming from a woodworker,
Yeah.
having to do this with a bandsaw.
Jigsaw? Yeah, or
a
bandsaw.
jigsaw.
Oh, yeah. That would have been a nightmare.
And then the router and everything else. I cut it with the laser, which is money, right? I took it, I sanded off the char, I made it perfectly smooth. Then I had a sacrificial ferrule, and I set all these things up, and I painted them that red, which that red is like an orange red. It doesn't do justice. I painted the whole thing red. I painted the whole thing red. Then I laser all the white. Okay, so I put tape on this thing to protect the paint.
Right.
Tape the whole thing up with like blue painter's tape.
Yep.
Awesome. laser guys, we love blue painter's tape because you can set your laser so it doesn't go through the tape.
Oh, okay.
Like, I know my sweet spot. I know the exact number for power that I won't go through the blue tape, but I can leave it white to see what it's going to look like.
Okay.
So I lasered everything that's white, and I sat there with acrylic paint and a paintbrush. And
Oh, you
I
did
actually-
paint it white.
I dabbed it by hand, pushed all that white in, retaped the whole thing, and then I went just a little, like, I literally just took the red paint off and went just a touch deeper, like maybe 10,000ths of an inch for the blue. And then I did the same thing. Then I dabbed the blue
Yeah.
in, and then I hit it with, I think I might have put, like, what did I use for that? I probably used like a matte poly.
Yeah.
Something that was quick dry.
So how many hours? Because that was, how many taps are there? 20?
I think it was
18? Something like that?
I think it was like 25 or 30. I think it took me. I put some long days in because
Yeah.
it was a last minute job.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention the configuration and setup and
I think
your
it's like 2
jig.
weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, but before I even put them in my laser, I bet you I spent at least 20 hours developing
Yeah.
the process because
Right.
I'm doing it just like I was when I was process engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking of it going, okay, what could happen? Because I don't want to scrap these. And so, you know, when you're doing a big job like that, I have to build scrap into it. So
Yeah.
I knew I need 28 taps. I made 34.
Right.
And I did. I actually went 5 over what I needed because I knew something was going to happen somewhere along the way that I was going to scrap one. And I'm not going all the way back to the
Right,
beginning
yeah.
and do one because then you just lose everything. So when all was said and done, I'd use like 3 or 4 of the sacrificial pieces and it went in the burn pile.
Yeah.
But I did keep one. It's in my drawer.
I was
somewhere.
just, you didn't make one for yourself to put on the tap in the garage?
I do. Did you see the picture of my tap in my garage? I do actually have that somewhere in here.
I just have a question. When it's something like this intense and you're doing it for a week and a half or 2 weeks, is there any other product being processed in your shop with that?
Oh,
Or-
absolutely.
Yeah. So you can do different things simultaneously, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because if I got stuff running, so try not to bump into that again. The best part is like when a laser is running, like a big job. I'm not talking like key.
Like your ornaments, you can put a big sheet in and
Yes.
cut just repetitive,
Right.
let it run.
I can be watching it. I have my camera on that I have, you know, so when my laser software is running, I actually wire up a camera inside my laser. 1, so I can line stuff, but 2, really so I can watch it. So I got my dual, like, 28-inch monitors, 27. I have my camera up on the right-hand side. So if I'm over here working, I'm watching. Every now and then I look, make sure there's no flare-ups or weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wood.
Right.
Especially with wood.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
live,
Weird
so.
stuff happens. So I'm watching what's going on. And then there's other times when I'm on my second laser. And it was funny. Somebody came over the other day, and I was literally running back and forth between 2 lasers because they were quick jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, put this one on. It's running for 3 minutes. I run over to this. I do something. I run back. And I bet you I got like 30,000 steps. 2 lasers. I'm like, I was sweating. I'm like, oh my God, I'm working too hard doing this. What's going on? But it was fun. I mean, I love it. And I actually have a post. I'm like, I love when I got both lasers running at the same time. And then I'm also working on my computer because you're just,
Boy, you
I'm
get
in my happy
downtime,
spot.
yeah.
Yeah.
so
Get that.
Market,
Sweet
build
routine.
postings, everything.
it's a lot of fun when you actually got everything, which is, it's like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It's not the behind-the-scenes stuff that you see that, you know, we all know going, yeah, that's not how it looks all
Well,
the time.
Right.
It's either real-time revenue or potential revenue, right? So
Yeah.
that's always exciting.
Yeah, so there's I got some really cool photos in here.
Oh, wow.
Local businesses, right? I love my local business friends.
Is that a
Fuel
black
Dragonfly.
slate and it's just the color, or is it
No,
gray?
that's slate. That's black slate.
No kid. So it's just the light that made it do that.
Yep. And I designed this. This is for everybody who knows Amy and I know we love ice cream.
Yeah. Okay.
So we spread our ice cream love around.
Yep. Yep.
So Bucks and
Oh, yeah.
is in Woodstock.
Yeah.
They're friends
Yeah.
of ours. And they're also, so, you know, Judy reached out to me one day. She's like, hey, I would love something for our farm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, give me an idea what you want. She goes, I love I forget what, I'm not a cow guy, but I call it.
Oh, Belted Galloway.
I don't know.
that
I
what
call it
those
the
are over
Oreo
there?
cow.
Yeah, Belted Galloway.
So
yeah.
she has the Oreo cows.
Yep,
And
yep.
they also have their honey and stuff like that. So this was something I developed for her.
Nice.
Again,
Okay, so this is what we were talking about earlier with the water bottles and the different types.
yeah,
and
those things are
whatnot.
beautiful.
Yeah, look at the
Dude, I love
names
this
on it.
orange. What else we got good? From my Masonic brothers, this was an idea I had. Copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Now,
Stop bringing attention to that.
Yeah, no,
Is that for the
hey,
top of the tree?
Yeah, that's a tree
Okay.
topper. No, and realistically, since we got people on, I mean, for the people that are close to me, they know that I'm in the process. All my paperwork is
Yeah.
BSA.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
can be a licensed BSA.
I saw that you had a post about being in their store, right, and engraving a bunch of stuff
Yep.
for them in the
Yep.
store.
Yeah.
So this year I started playing with leatherette and making my own hats and stuff like that. So here's some cool patches that I was working on just to see how
Oh,
it worked.
Community
Yeah.
Workbench hats
Oh,
in the
go back.
future.
Go back. So with leather, is this the same idea where it's burning and it makes that color, or are you taking a layer away to reveal another?
A little bit of both.
Little
No,
bit.
no. I'm not taking a layer away to reveal. This
Okay.
is actually what happens.
This is
burn
when
it.
you
So
burn
it burns the
leather.
leather and
Yep.
turns
Okay.
black.
So if you have a different color
Oh, yeah.
leather, does it always burn black like
Nope.
that? No.
Nope.
it's
So
something different.
I don't know if I have it in here, but I have swatches. So on my website, I have some cool stuff I've been adding in the past week or two. There's all different color of leatherette, and there's like this purple that engraves silver.
Oh, that's cool.
There's black that engraves silver, but there's also black that engraves gold. There's red that engraves black. There's teal that engraves black. There's pink that engraves black or white. I can't remember. So there's different colors.
cool.
This happens to be. This isn't even from my supplier. I bought it off Amazon when I was just wanting to see how it was going to work.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, is this really going to work? So this was just playing with some Amazon stuff. And
Yeah.
not for nothing, I don't even use this anymore because I can cut the leather on my machine to the shape I want.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That makes
Gotcha.
sense. So do you buy big sheets of it?
Yeah, I have
That's cool.
I have some big sheets that I made my own patches when we went down to Jamboree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some on my backpack. I have a hat. I wish it was on here. I just think the Yeti is a riot. I have a patch that I made on a green hat.
Oh, okay.
It's a Yeti.
Yeah.
And it's something on the lines of how does it say it? Hide and seek champion of the world or something like that.
Funny.
It's just silly, but I love it. It's a great hat.
Yeah.
This is hey, you know what? You have a machine, you got to make stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't have a Valentine's Day present. I was working. I'm like, I'm knocking this one out of the park.
So now this is a piece of
That's a piece of wood.
right.
It's 8
pine,
inch.
balsa.
This
So
is-
a
this is-
rose.
This is a 1/4-inch Baltic birch.
Okay.
And I lasered the whole thing out. I put her name in script, and it's kind of hard to see down here because it doesn't really matter. But it's basically 2 circles stacked to give it.
Oh, so
to give
this
it-
would stand up like
Yep.
on a nightstand.
Yeah,
or
stands on her desk.
something.
This is,
Yeah.
an, this is an ad, John, you need for like February 1st for men,
right.
for men on Facebook.
I'm telling you, man, your brain's always going. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, those are way small. A friend of mine is a photographer, and she asked me, she was doing this pitch where she brought in a bunch of different small businesses, weddings. So she does wedding photography.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, come to this event. People would really like your stuff. So she's like, I need a raffle table prize. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do a Mr. and Mrs. Cup. So I'm like, I came up with this idea. And
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Weddings. You could. How many grooms
Yeah.
want to do?
there you go, leading
Oh,
right
yeah.
away.
Oh, wow.
So
Funny.
now, most of the stuff you've seen up to this point was all my CO2 laser.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into the fiber. This thing is a beast.
Okay.
So this one here allows me to actually burn or engrave into metal.
Oh.
Okay, the CO2, it doesn't do the metal. It took the powder coat off the paint,
Yeah.
or excuse me, it took the powder coat off the cup, and it left the metal exposed. This here is actually burning. So the black that you see is actually annealing, which this isn't going deep. It's like on this, it's a chemical change on the surface. Annealing is like heat treating. So it gets that nice dark black. So this was for somebody local. This is where the website comes in great. People call
Yeah.
me like, hey, John, can you customize this for me? I'm like, absolutely.
Nice.
Come on over.
That is cool. So like,
Oh, I'll go back.
yeah, like a groomsman wants to engrave a bunch of
Flask.
Flasks. Oh, great idea.
Most of the time, I have a whole line of flasks that are colored.
Yeah.
Because before I had the fiber laser, I'm like, well, I want to do them.
Yeah.
But these ones here are stainless steel. This is your real stainless steel. This is your Coultery, which I believe is 304, if I'm not mistaken. It's that really crisp, high-end stainless steel. But I really like the way these came out.
Yeah, they look nice.
They were nice.
And so, like a CO2 laser, you basically have to put a CO2 tank on it. I'm assuming. No, it makes its own.
CO2 is it's they refer to it to CO2. There's no CO2 tank like Weldon. You have a glass tube with your plasma beam inside it that comes from an electrical, basically inside of the machine. All your electronics, and it creates that beam. There's a water jacket that keeps this glass tube. So for people that have ever seen glass blowing, the delicacy. That's really the delicacy of this tube that's inside of my machine.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, when you talk delicate, I'm talking delicate.
Yeah.
It's all encased inside of the machine. But, there's all kinds of stuff that goes along with it. So the CO2 doesn't actually have a CO2 tank, but it does have a water chiller. So I have a water chiller on the left-hand side of the machine that is always running. And if it's not running, my machine won't run because there's sensors.
Well, thank God for that.
Like, hey, your water chiller's
Overheat
not on. We're not running, pal, because you're gonna shatter your machine if you don't turn it on. So that's a CO2. It doesn't actually have like you think of the big green tank on a
Yeah, I wasn't sure. And then what's the next one that we're about to get into? The
fiber.
Fiber.
So the fiber laser is a whole different animal. It's a smaller machine in the sense of my big machine is almost the size of this table. I could put a sheet of wood 2 feet by 3 feet in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I could go to a depth of. If I get creative, I can go down to like 12 inches.
Holy
That
moly.
you can burn a hole through?
No.
Oh.
No, like the size of the piece I put in there.
Oh, okay.
I've actually somewhere in here I had this triple tier trophy that I did for a fantasy football league.
Gotcha.
I had to take everything out of my machine, and I actually had to stack 1, 2, 3 blocks and anything that I could to get it to the right height, because it's all about a focal length.
Yeah.
Right.
But the fiber laser now, again, these are done with CO2. A lot of these pictures are CO2 because I've had it longer.
Okay. Yeah.
But you can see these are local places, right? This is for St. James.
Nice.
I love St. James. They come to me every year for teachers' gifts. Brooklyn teachers' gifts. These are just some fun things I was working on. I started buying some graphics, so I designed my own. But there's a company that I use that's a veteran company, which is why you see some of these funny ones. I mean, this was just funny. I like my coffee black. You've heard me
In
say
my
this.
tea in the harbor.
I usually, my saying is, I like my coffee black, like my soul. But being a guy I was born north of Boston, so I'm like, oh my God, this is a riot. So this is not a political pitch. This is just straight up funny.
Right.
That's all it is. It's funny. A friend of mine, hey, our family goes to Portsmouth. This is where I grew up. They're like, hey, we go up there all the time. Can you do us a lighthouse from Portsmouth? I'm like, oh, you want Noble Light? And they're like, no, just like generic. Here you go, fiber laser right here.
Scorpio.
That is a river rock from Hampton, New Hampshire.
Holy moly.
That's about 125 thousandths deep in that rock.
Yeah.
Again, so Amy, she got the rose and the rock. That was her Valentine's Day.
So when it has to go that deep, does it go significantly slower, or do you turn up the power on it?
Yes and no. I cranked the power up.
Yeah.
But I also, this was, I don't know, we'll say like 50 passes. So
wow.
So you go back and forth.
Yeah.
So the thing's
Legs.
doing that because you wrote a program for it to do that, and then
It just keeps going
a little bit.
And so you put in the material, how deep you want it to go, and it knows, okay, I have to go through this many passes essentially.
Kind of. So it's not really, I put in the material because I've developed my own parameters. So
Right.
I know for rock, I will run at, we'll say 50% power, 25% speed. I'm just making numbers up right now because I have my cheat sheets everywhere. I have like very detailed sheets. I put the numbers in. I have it saved as rock to make my life easier.
Yeah.
But there's not like a magic number. Like,
Gotcha.
so there are people that have spent hours and hours and they've set what's called guidelines. Like, hey, if you're doing Baltic birch, this is where you start, but you got to figure it out for your own machine.
But that's the beauty of the community, right? When you're part of all these forums,
You share.
and it gives you a starting point where
Yep.
you would have never had one, right?
And it's been a godsend
Yeah.
for the fiber.
That's
laser.
great.
The CO2 laser came with like this whole platform of here's some different product and what it should be.
Yeah.
So it gave you a starting point. And I would say it was within 15%. The fiber laser, when I first started, there was like 10 things in this site that I use. Now there's like 200.
Wow.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's that, like you said, it's a living document.
Yeah.
Anybody can add to it and say, hey, look, I do stuff that I know other people aren't doing. I like playing around. I'm like, hey, clay brick. Somebody gave me a brick. Can you engrave this? I'm like, I don't know. Let's try. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did it?
It worked.
Yeah.
I actually have a good picture.
Did it carve or did it?
So the interesting thing of brick, if you go to Lowe's and you buy brick, it's concrete brick.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. If you get true clay, red clay brick, when it hits the laser beam, or when a laser beam hits the brick, it takes the clay and turns it into glass.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's black. So I actually was super fortunate. Somebody that I know scouted. I do so much stuff with scouting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, his son was doing his Eagle project in Plainfield, and he was doing the memorial, the veteran memorial across from the Masonic Lodge. Okay, so now you got me.
Yeah.
As soon as he said, Mr. Jenna, I'm doing this veteran memorial, and I'm like, I'll do it.
Right.
I'm a Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hitting my soul, right? I do have a little heart there somewhere. So he pulled that. He's like, Marine, veteran, Masonic Lodge, Eagle Scout. I'm like, dude, you got me. Come on.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to do a whole bunch of bricks and I want to sell them to people. And I'm like, all right, let's do it, man. So I did the research. I found a company that actually sells these laser bricks. That's what they're meant for. Come to find out, after more research, I'm like, there's gotta be other stuff out there. It's not just one brick. I mean, this guy doesn't have the market. Sure enough, I figured out it's clay brick. As long as it's clay,
Yeah.
when the laser hits it, it turns it into glass. And anybody knows glass doesn't. The brick will wear away before the actual
Right.
laser engraving.
Do you have a picture of the
I
brick
do.
you did?
I do. I keep hitting that microphone because my office is dead. Let's see if I can. Oh, that's a beautiful one.
Oh, we got it. There it is.
I will go back because
Wow.
there's some
Yeah.
awesome.
We got to go back some of that.
So these are all bricks that I engrave for an Eagle Scout project, and this is right downtown Moose Up.
Yeah.
I think I said Plainfield.
Yeah.
I get the towns confused. I call
Yeah.
it. But yeah, these things are awesome. They'll be there forever. And somewhere up in here, I have my own brick. There's one that says something on the idea of, oh yeah, so there's an American flag right here,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
all of these ones across the front are the individual branches. Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
I was pretty excited about that. Let's
That
go
is
back
cool.
a couple because, dude, there is some awesome stuff. So you were asking about the fiber laser. Okay, so
Right.
here we go. These photos are kind of stink.
Hey.
So I started making some golf tools, which obviously I'm zooming in. It's not the
Not a-
quality.
yeah.
This is not the quality. It's the wrong size photo.
Right. But this is what we're looking at is a
Yeah.
golf ball marker.
Marker. Yep,
Yeah.
that goes on
it
your hat.
clips on your brim of your hat, and you get
Yep.
custom ones of those. So.
Yep. So you could get custom golf ball markers. This is a leather portfolio. So again, different color leather, right?
Yeah.
I love this. So obviously I have to play with this stuff. So I put my own
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
on.
JG Creations right
Yep.
there again. That's an
Obviously,
awesome
Marine
insignia.
owned, veteran owned. A gentleman reached out to me. I started playing on Etsy, and I was a love-hate relationship. Guy reached out to me, goes, man, I love some of the stuff you're doing. This is all done on laser. This is multiple pieces of wood. So the dark right here is one piece. This is the second piece. This is the third piece, and then there's a backer. So this is a template that I created that can be so many different.
So you just glued
Instruments.
like those four pieces together and then you carved that.
Yep. And I stain them all different colors. So this is a model railroad gentleman. He's
Wow.
like, oh, he goes, I have this model railroad. He's out in, I think he was in Montana. He's like, can you make me something from my railroad? Here's my name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, dude, that sounds fun. I'm game. Let's see what I can do. So he was all excited, and he has this posted on his model railroad site and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is acrylic with a little light base. Now you can see how this is. It looks like it's all scratched up right here, but that's just because it's not cleaned very well. But you reverse engrave it. So I engrave it on the back side, so that way it's a little smoother. So this was just something I made for the Northeast Chamber of Commerce Spotlight event I did back in October.
So this is something you just buy it blank.
I buy a sheet of acrylic and I cut it out and engrave it.
And what's the thing on what's the base?
That's just a little LED light base.
Okay.
Buy them on Amazon.
Oh, and
it just inserts in there, and then the light
kidding.
comes through it.
The light shines up.
That's
through.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. There's a lot of stuff I could do with that. I haven't even really scratched the surface on it yet. No pun intended.
Laser. I'm getting the laser.
You know that's from, right?
Oh yeah, Austin Powers.
So I live this every day of my life. Amy does it to me. All my friends are like, laser. John's got a laser. So I'm like, you know what? I got to play on that. So I actually have a name tag, my business name tag that I wear to the business association stuff. And that's that on there. People are like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, that's who I am. This is done on a fiber. This is black painted aluminum business cards. And I've spent hundreds of hours working to get to this point.
Aluminum business cards.
They're aluminum business cards. So
what's the thought here? Like somebody actually starts carrying around aluminum business cards, or you'd put a magnet on the back and have the.
I actually have magnets on here somewhere too. No, there's people that do carry aluminum.
Yeah.
The problem is, I'll be honest. If you came to me and said, John, I want some aluminum business cards, I'm like, it's a niche.
Yeah.
They're going to cost you a couple bucks per card.
Right. I was just thinking,
It's
like,
expensive to
I
buy
order
them.
mine 500 at a time.
Yeah,
and
for like $20.
And I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
well, they're more than that. But
Yeah.
I actually use Chase Graphics and put them.
Okay, so-
and they're great, and they have it on file. And I
Yep.
just I need another 500. You want to change anything? Oh, nope. But like I go through that many in a year and a half. So
You wouldn't give these out like a regular. This would
Right.
be, I'm going to a company and I want them to see what I can do.
right.
Look, man, I am not.
It's almost something you should carry.
Yes, that's really what it is.
Right.
So this is me working on a process, and there's a big picture. Eventually, I'll get to talk about it. Hopefully, within the next 6 months, I have a big goal in mind with why I've been spending so many times on these pictures, and you'll see in actually the next slide, where I'm trying to get to. Okay, so
Yeah. Oh
there
yeah.
you go.
Yeah. The
So
memorials.
this is a memorial urn for a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see the level of detail. Now that's slate.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not metal.
That's not metal. That is actually slate.
Slate tile.
So I've literally, and I think you might have come to my house 1 or 2 times when I was doing this. I've spent so many hours, it would make people sick to think about how many hours I've put into this, trying to get photos to look real.
Right.
To the point where I could sell them. Like, I know people that are selling that right now.
Yeah.
And they're fine with it, where I'm like, yeah, it's not right. It's not perfect yet.
Yeah.
I can get more out of it. So I want to be able to offer pet urns. And I actually, during one of my business meetings, I met a gentleman that has like 3 mortuaries and was talking to me about urns. He's like,
Yeah.
can you do this on urns? And I'm like,
Oh yeah, like a metal urn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How does the laser react with like brass? I feel like there's a lot of brass urns
Fiber.
out there.
that would be the fiber laser.
Yeah. And
Does it
just
turn
etches
black?
it in.
Yep. It does turn black. So there's, but you can't just hit that out.
No.
You have to practice.
Yeah.
this.
Oh, not even that. I'm sure this picture had a background, so you probably had to isolate
And
the dog
process.
and
there's a
process
process.
stuff.
You don't just it's not like a printer, like hey, I'm going to print off that document. There's all kinds of process. And like anybody, like you process your videos. Like you're going to take this video and you're going to cut and chop and do this and do that. I have to do the same.
So you
with
have some type of Photoshop app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use like 3 different ones.
Wow.
I go from one to take away the background, and then go to another one to turn it black and white and pull out contrast and my hues, and then I run it in my actual laser software, which has a bypass, and it basically breaks it down into dots. So the laser will burn a dot and leave a dot, and that's what gives it the depth.
Now, if you put a picture in the laser, will the laser tell you like, oh no, this isn't going to work, or so it'll just try it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll just try it, and it's interesting what it does.
Now, obviously, you've had a lot of trial by fire.
Oh yeah.
But what type of background or education would you recommend someone who wants to start this? At kind of like you got an engineering level. Is that kind of like what
I think
would be needed?
No, you know what? I think I have such a diverse background,
right?
But I think you would probably, the biggest thing I could say is most of the people out there, they buy these lasers, and here's a joke: people buy lasers, they think they print money because they see all this work. They're like, oh, money just falls out of the bottom of this machine. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, right. Watch us out there at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, throwing hundreds of dollars away in materials.
Yeah.
Now, if you know how to design, and that when I say design, I don't necessarily mean like tool design, which that was great for me because that's how I make my jigs. But if you're like a graphic designer and you have that creative knack, and we all know these kind of people that just see stuff.
Yeah.
Right? They just go, oh my God, I look at that wall over there, and it's the sunlight shining through, and man, that'd make a great picture, and it just morphs in their head. If you can do that, oh my God, you've already cut out like a huge portion. So I said earlier, I use a site. There's a site that I love going to. It's a veteran site. They have these awesome graphics. I buy them.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
Kids playing with the dog.
Yep. I have no problem paying somebody else for their work. I will buy their graphics with the rights to use them. But I also do all my own design too. So if somebody knows how to design, that's half the battle right there.
Yeah.
I can teach. I've actually, both of my kids have expressed interest in learning SolidWorks, learning how to run a laser, how to, they see it, and they're like, oh, Dad, I want to play with that. I'm like, yeah, well, we're not playing. You're not just going to play with my, $15,000 laser. It's not happening. But Dad, I want to play with the laser. I'm like, no, realistically, I'm like, I will show you. And Anthony, my oldest works, I put him to work out there. But, if they have a graphic design background, that's half the battle because they can make the pictures that they want. I could teach either one of you, come over to the house, give me a couple of days, I can show you how to run a laser.
Plus it teaches them entrepreneurship, right? Like you don't have to go work at a superstore. You can make your own stuff and sell it on your own.
Absolutely.
One thing that's so invaluable watching someone go through a business and building a business is how expensive the startup is, especially with something like this. To get your products to the point where
there's no lie,
you're proud to have them. Look, they're not cheap machines
by any means. And I'm literally today, as I'm driving, and Amy and I are having a business meeting. Literally, we're talking about. Don't let me forget. I have something I want to talk about.
That's a write-off, right? That whole trip.
I think it is. Yeah. I don't know how to do it. I'm gonna have to talk to my accountant. But I'm like, literally, I spent 2 hours.
Yeah.
I spent 2 hours and came up with a whole business plan that I'm gonna pitch to you in about a couple minutes when you give me the time.
Sure.
But the amount of startup when you buy a machine is astronomical. But hey, look, it's part of the game, right?
Right.
This is such a cool photo. I was just recently, I think it was in July, another friend, local business in town, he was like, John, you got to join the Chamber of Commerce with me. And he goes, I think it'd be good for you to get out of your comfort zone. So I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and I met El Gosselin, I met Nancy, and these women are just amazing at their job and they really pulled me out of my shell to give me I could talk, but I get nervous when it's cold talking, like I've never
right with someone you don't know.
So she's like, oh, just come. She's like, we really want you to do this business spotlight. 20 people had the opportunity to do a business spotlight, set up a table for showcase. Best thing I ever did.
Nice.
I met so many people this night, and they came up and like, "Oh my God, I love what you're doing." And actually, I talked about the mortuary. He was actually sitting at the table right.
The guy with the VR.
Oh yeah, that was another cool thing. That VR, you would have dug that. That was for kitchen design.
Oh, wow.
that's
so you
cool.
could just go into your kitchen, walk around.
That's
No, he developed the kitchen like 3D.
right. That's what I mean. And then
And
you
you walk
put the
around.
VR and
That's
you walk around
wild.
in it.
But
That is wild.
I think the mortuary guy was like, he was either right here or he was right behind me. But so this was just a table of odds and ends that I've had. Actually, still has my old logo on my tablecloth. You know, this Santa Claus thing was awesome. A couple of years ago, I sold like 40 of them.
Oh wow.
I built them out of reclaimed pallet wood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, I got cups. I have some of my ornaments. I have some of my divot tools, beer bottle openers, all kinds of different weird stuff. This is what Matt was talking about. This is one of the signs right here that I developed for realtors, like a
Right.
house
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah.
Same with the slate one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The slate one's one I
Yeah.
had gotten.
the bricks. There's a cool
Wow.
stuff. These things are awesome too.
Yeah.
All different woods. You know, there's some cherry, there's some oak, there's some
Those of
That's
course
cool, like
production times longer because you got to build them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I try to build them in a batch.
Yeah.
You know, and I keep saying I want to have a woodworking day because most of the whole
Yeah.
pitch was JG Creations, laser engraving, woodworking, and more.
Right.
I
But-
can't, woodworking I never get to do anymore.
You cut this out on your laser, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So everything's like,
So I cut out the
Piecework.
shapes, but then I dadoed them
Yeah.
on the table saw, so it's hard to see. But
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
No, no, I
these
see
are
it.
all
Yeah.
dadoed
Yeah.
and then pin nailed together and glued, and then there's actually a rail that the base slides into.
Like a rabbit.
Yeah, rabbit.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are pretty cool. A couple close-ups, you can see that. You know,
That is cool with it. Place for the milk, place for the reindeer
Yeah.
snacks, place for
Hey.
the cookies.
we still use one of these in our house.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's awesome.
this is, we were talking about this earlier. This is like one of the best photos I've taken yet. This is a new venture. I took a leap of faith on these, and I bought a bunch of these divot tools. And the goal is that, you know, for those of us at golf, these are ball markers. They pop off, they're magnetic, and they can be personalized. And we saw some of the personalizations earlier, but I actually have on my website, I have like all the different customizations you can do: golf cart, golf bag.
Maybe talk to Brooklyn PTO.
Yeah,
See if
for the
this will
golf
go in.
tournament.
Yeah, if it'll go in the.
Yeah.
Vintage
Well, you usually put a
Valley.
thing in for the
Yep.
raffle.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. I
Yeah.
have done the raffle
Yeah.
for that. I've also done it for Moore Lakes Golf Tournament. I've done it for a couple of the different. But these are really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you golf,
Yeah, it's a great gift for golfers.
there you go. There's.
Oh,
another
that's
one.
cool.
So this is the hat clip ball marker. So yeah, there's a couple cool things. You know,
Yeah.
we get back into flags. You know, these were big a while back. This is pretty good detail. This was actually for one of my best friends that I've known for years down in North Carolina. Little silly things, right?
Oh, is
Yeah.
that for like a
Dude,
teacher?
it's a teacher's,
Yeah.
it's a
That's
teacher's
awesome.
gift.
Yeah.
Again, this is
Established.
inlay. So that black G is cut out, painted by hand, put back on, and then the script works. So this is all just different things that I did when I was playing around in the beginning. Here's a good one. Here's my old beer fridge. 4 taps. This is whiteboard. It's dry erase board. So Matt's been to the house before.
Yeah.
This is brand new. There was no markings on it yet.
Yeah.
But typically there's every beer that's on here in the refrigerator. And then up here I usually handwrite in what's coming.
So did you carve it and then paint it?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whiteboard is awesome like that. It's MDF underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about it is with the whiteboard, when you engrave it, you fill it with paint, you let the paint dry, put just a touch of alcohol on a rag,
Yeah.
and you just wipe it across the top, and it takes the excess paint off the whiteboard.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So there's some cool photos. You know, you talked about magnets. There's a magnet there. A charcuterie board. This is kind of funny.
Now that's a slate tile, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This is slate and acacia board. So this was
That's
for.
beautiful.
The precision is like
Oh yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, just like look at the picture of the wine and cheese and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The depth that it has in there. That's amazing.
Here's a fun one. Where did it just go? Oh, so Matt's involved with me in Scouts. We already talked about that, right? So this is something that I created and developed. I've seen something like this on Etsy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I can make this. So this is a wooden knife for practicing teaching a scout how to use a knife. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this picture is this is actually a working lock-in blade.
Right.
So you can see the spline. You can see how this all works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pivots
Yep.
and then releases the blade.
Yep. So that was kind
And
of
that-
cool.
And
There it
that's
is.
awesome because you can teach anyone
And then
how
you
to
just use
use a
dolls.
knife without
Yeah.
without them getting
Did you give those out to scouts?
Oh, multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but usually like when someone doing that training course or whatever would need just
A
as
regular knife.
Right.
3 or 4 of them to give out and let them practice,
Right.
and then you can go to the real knife.
Yeah.
So like the kids don't actually
They
have
give
to
us
take
butter
those.
knives. You know, we carve soap with butter knives when we're doing the whittle and chip. Come on. So here you go. Here's some brick. This is obviously I did these for Ellis Tech.
Yeah.
So if I talk too much, let me know.
No, great
Oh,
local
here we go.
school.
There's
Love
you had mentioned the June Norcross stuff. I'm trying to look at that screen. I should look at this one. So this is these are some of the products I put in their store this summer.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
These orange coffee cups sold like hotcakes. People
Yeah.
love those. There's my own little pitch. These things are awesome. So here's the different leatherette. So you can see how it changes colors when you engrave it. So that's a
Gotcha.
coaster / beer opener.
That's
That's
a
awesome.
great design.
Yeah. Now that I might
These are fun. Yep, these are kind of fun too. So you can customize your
your golf
tee
holder.
holders.
Yeah.
Um,
I go through like 3 a hole, so I don't know. Gotta reload.
That's like the classic ones. Coach's gifts. This was awesome. So the story behind this. Notice all the names, right? This is their actual signatures. So one of the coaches' team, one of the moms, reached out to me. Hey, John, I got an idea. All right, I'm like, let me roll with this. Let me do something for you. I'm like, have the kids sign a piece of paper and a Sharpie. She's like, oh, well, why don't I do it in pencil? I'm like, no, give them a fat Sharpie and just let them sign away. And I'm like, I took that, I scanned it, and then I traced it in my software. So this is their actual signatures.
That's cool.
I mean, so there's another family that gentleman brought me a cup, and he had his kids sign it, and I made like this little placard, Happy Mother's Day. That's a signature that mom will always have from
Yeah.
her kids when they were like, I don't want to say their names or their ages, but they were local.
They were young.
Yeah.
Yeah, local.
It was awesome.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I mean, that mom's gonna carry that cup until the day she dies. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah. So let's do this. Let's go to the website because the website, the website. I actually have some more high-end stuff. You know,
Yeah.
this
And
is
we'll definitely put that in the comments, the website for.
I did.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
so,
yeah.
tack box, right? Hey, can you make me one of these? Another classic example. Hey, can you make me a tack box? I'm like, what's a tack box? I'm like, sure, I can do that.
For horse riding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty.
So what would go in? Do you have any idea what would go in? Or they just gave you the layout that they.
No, she told me what it was. I went and researched it, and I'm like, oh, what goes in these? Oh, they put like a horse brush, like a brush for brushing your horse, and you
Yeah.
put like these other tools. So you can see that I actually have removable. These are removable.
Oh yeah.
So I
they
got
can-
that big open area, so all of that can be pulled out.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know
Nice.
what dude. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't know what a tack box is. I'm like, I just used common sense and said,
Well, the tack box is like the huge,
yeah,
the
that
big
thing's
one.
big.
Oh, that's
That
That's
one's
not
big.
small. That was like,
yeah.
that was
They put like their
30 inches.
they put
Oh,
their
okay.
saddle in it. It's like a trunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the saddle, right? Same family. Do I have the saddle one in here? I think I do.
Oh, because that's leather, right? You engraved
no,
on there.
no, the saddle was. I don't think I wasn't as. Oh, there it is, right there.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. To hold the saddle. Yeah.
Come on.
Goes on when they're not on the horse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
So she's like,
okay.
oh, can you make the thing the saddle goes on? I'm like, okay.
So they would put stuff underneath as well in that tray.
Yeah, probably their
and then
boots,
the saddle goes
their
on.
helmet. Yeah.
Oh, and maybe everything that hangs goes in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this some of the stuff that people come to me with is just like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'll come up with something for you.
That expands your business footprint, though. You know.
Right. And then yeah,
These
people.
are beautiful.
Oh,
Yes.
that's nice.
So, say, I've gotten to do stuff for the Woodstock Fair for the cattle show. for the past couple of years, they've come to me with awards. So this was, they like to do functional prizes.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, can we do knives? And this was right after I got my fiber. So these were CRKT drifters. I love these. I'm still carrying these on my website because I carry this knife myself and I love it. Thing holds up great. So those were kind of fun.
And that's just like a plastic that, what is that?
No, that's solid metal.
Oh,
This is all
the handle's metal too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's just,
Yep, it's all steel.
and that's a picture on it, or is it engraved? Would you feel?
Nope, that's a
that-
picture.
It's a
engraved.
picture. Okay,
Yep.
so it's a picture. engraved.
Yep. So that was a design that I put together, and these two here are generic, and then these are the actual. The rest of them you can see, say like Grand Champion.
Yeah, and then the person's name.
Yeah, the different classes, and I don't know enough about the cattle.
Yeah.
How they work, but I know like Grand Champion, Junior Grand Champion. I just
Right.
know, for me, it's just words on that they asked me to put on there because
Yeah.
I'm not involved in that community.
Right.
Now, like when I was at your shop one time this summer, I saw where you had a full jig layout for all the name tags that you were doing, and then like each one would be individual.
Yep.
But that you could load this whole tray of name tags in at one time and
Yep.
and do them all at once.
Yep.
Is this the same idea? Do you have a thing?
I did actually. You know what?
So you made a
Now
tray for that?
So it wasn't for these ones. So these ones, because they were all done on a fiber, I did them one off. But for another company, where are they? They're up here. Oh, here they are. These are beautiful. So Zach,
The wooden hands.
Zach Dexter, and I'll give him a throw out because I pitched to him. Zach Dexter was one of my students when I taught at QV,
Oh, okay.
who went out and he eventually started his own safe shop. Okay, so Dexter's Liberty Best. He came to me a couple years ago, and they do their promotional items. You buy a safe, you get a knife. That was what he was doing at that time. So he came to me with these two different knives. He's like, hey, John, is this something you can do? At that time, I didn't have my fiber. All I had was my CO2.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I can't engrave the blades, but I could do the wood. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, so the jig you're talking about, I developed the jig because I did a couple hundred knives.
Oh, wow.
So I can't do these one off.
Yeah.
Right.
So these things came out awesome. Like,
So how many could you do at one time?
With the tray.
I think I had, oh geez, I still had that jig sitting around somewhere. I think I might have done like 25 at a time.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was this one here, I believe was called, these are buck knives. I believe this one was called a Ranger. And look at that. Those things are beautiful. I mean, the level of detail in there was just so awesome. He was really happy, and I was so glad to do them because it was something I hadn't done up to that point.
Liberty Safes.
Yep.
Nice. And
Liberty-
that's a local business.
Yeah, it is. He's
right?
down in actually, he's even more local. He has the place in Norwich, and now he has the one up in Putnam too.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I want to say something came through for their opening. Like there was like a
Yep. He did.
KBA event or
Yeah.
a Putnam Business
You
Association
know,
event or something
he's
like
big
that.
on. He now sells like Traeger grills. I know we talk about other people's businesses, but isn't that what this is all about?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
definitely
It's all about
exactly
service.
what it's
Yeah, and when someone's giving you products, we want to put a plug in for them.
So-
When someone's giving you work,
Yeah.
we want to. Yeah,
Your
that's-
KBA thing was, or whatever business. I don't know if it's KBA or if it was a chamber, but he's big and now he sells Traeger grills, which
Yeah.
is on my bucket list, which is like the pellet grill.
Smokers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Smoke
smoking.
grill.
Yeah.
So he does like the pork butts, and I mean, it's ridiculous the
Yeah.
food that. And I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
You can't believe
Oh, I know.
I like cooking. I like eating. So yeah, so there's some fun stuff. Now, since we're right here on the website, look, I spent a lot of time on this. You come to my website, jgc-engraven.com. You will see all kinds of stuff. I have beverage cups, all my different cups. And if you go in here, every cup has its own color. I'm going to be simplifying this a little more in the time, but you could pick on a color. Let's just pick on green. And then you'll see that I have just different design options. I always tell people, go to the site, get an idea. But by no means is this all I can do. Some people just don't have an idea of what they want until they see it.
Right.
So you could come in here and say, yeah, I want I don't know, let's go to the camping one. I want to do camping besties, or
Yeah.
somewhere in here there's probably, there's always an alcohol joke in there somewhere. Alcohol, because adulting is hard. I mean, come on, who doesn't love that saying?
Right.
You know, there's always going to be patriotic. Anything you see of mine, you're going to find something with a flag or an eagle, because that's just who I am. Sarcastic. I have plenty of those friends. So, you know, the cool thing is I spent a lot of time building all these different things. The newest stuff that I've been adding in the past week, of course, has been these divot tools, my hat clips. But I also have my Facebook shop as well. And the Facebook shop is not mirroring yet. But it's, let's be honest, Facebook, there's so many people on it.
Yeah.
It's easier to showcase a lot of my stuff on Facebook. And then I drive them to my website. So for anybody who happens to be listening who wants to order stuff, my website is set up for e-commerce, but it's not set up for shipping yet because I was primarily concerned with local.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you just pick it up at my house. That's not to say I can't ship. How are we doing for time? We doing pretty good?
I wasn't checking for time. I was just, I can hear, because he's watching us live on Facebook, and I can hear it over the thing. So I was just tearing it down.
So I always tell people, like, look, you can order from me. I do everything through invoicing. I will send it to you for whatever it costs. No big deal. You know, so if somebody in Arizona wants it. Right now, my website, I'll be honest, I haven't set it up for shipping because it's just a pain to figure out the 75 different boxes that I need, individual things, how much to charge. That's changing. I'm constantly in works of fixing that right now so I can be 100% e-commerce. But on the flip side, I like the personality part of it where you reach out to me and say, hey, John, my grandmother has this handwritten recipe. Man, it would look awesome on a slate cutting board.
Right.
Email it to me. I will work back and forth with you, and then we'll figure out the
Right.
shipping.
Right. Yeah. Working with them for real customization. That's
Right.
what it's all about. Yeah.
Which leads me to this. This is the thing that we had a business meeting today, and Amy and I were shooting a breeze, and I'm like, hey, we got to do something. We got to do something big. So here's, you know, we come up with a harebrained idea, and I'm not going to give it to you all. I'm going to give you a teaser. 'Cause this is
Okay.
what I'm learning.
That means you got to come back.
Exactly. This is what I'm learning. I'm learning how to do this marketing thing. Watching my friends with their businesses. Black Friday, right? Or not? Yeah, Black
Yeah.
Friday.
Yep. Black Friday.
Black Friday's a couple days away, right?
Yeah.
So I will be releasing on my website a special 25 days of, let's call it 25 days of Christmas because I like that. 25 days of Christmas, and it's going to be a big thing where I am offering certain products on certain days for a certain price.
Oh, nice.
I don't want to go too much into it because I want you to come back.
Right.
But stay tuned because on my website on Friday, I will post all the details, and I think people will be happy. And it's something fun for me to try some new stuff, to try to share some of my different product with people. And I think it's, you know, I have a lot of information that I got to go put together and finish finalizing all the details. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've seen other people do similar things, and I wanted to give it a try.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the countdown for Christmas, it's
Right.
You know, it's
Christmas
awesome.
is an awesome
Perfect.
time of year. It's that one time of year where I feel like even the people that are grumpy, the rest of the time of year, they're usually happy at Christmas.
Yeah. At some point.
You like to think, hey, you got to see the good in everybody. But yeah, I mean, so the website is fun. You know, there's a lot of good information. Obviously, I have my pitch about who I am, and it's morphed. You know, this is going to get upgraded because Amy, my wife, has been taking a more active role
Yeah.
in my business and giving me ideas where she's up to this point. It's a family business. There's a reason why I did it.
Yeah.
I wanted it
Yeah.
for my family. But she was letting me get everything under my feet and figure out what I wanted. Well, now that I know that, I'm like, hey, come on board. Help me with some ideas. You have a fresh set of eyes.
Right.
So you can come on here. You can see the stuff that's pre-ordered, the stuff that can be customized. But I also have stuff it's already ready for you to just buy off the shelf. You know,
yeah.
these slate signs are awesome, like camping rules, porch rules. I mean, it's just, oh, my
There
computer's
you
a
go.
little slow.
It could be my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but I mean, there's all kinds of stuff on here that's ready to rock and roll. You call
Yeah.
me, you email me, bam, we get it out the door for you. I can meet you with it. But
Nice.
the big things are really, this time of year, the big ones are cotton boards, slate boards,
Charcuterie boards,
charcuterie boards.
beverage cups, and stuff like that.
I just wanted you all that talk earlier about attention to detail and
Yeah.
tolerances. This is where it comes into play. This is the design. These are just some of my designs. These are so customizable, but these are some of my favorites right here. That,
Yeah.
So this is the 4 layers of wood, right?
Yep. So obviously this is my veteran theme, okay? And this one's hanging on my wall in the house right now because I just love this one.
Yeah.
I developed that. That one I actually developed for myself, and then I'm like, oh, I got to offer this to the public. This is pretty cool. But you can see the theme there, and they're super customizable.
Right.
You saw the one for the guy for the railroad. That came from this design.
Yeah.
And I just, said, hey, what can I do with this? So,
Yeah.
but they're pretty cool. You can see that it can be sitting in a plate rack, right?
Yeah.
And it actually is keyholed.
Oh, nice.
So I keyhole the
Nice,
back of
nice.
it, so you don't even have to put like a command strip or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you can see how thick they are, so everything lines up. So this is all made from 1/4-inch Baltic birch, and those are actually 8 inches in diameter.
Okay.
But I can make them 12 inches diameter. Obviously, just be a little bit more money. So everything I do is customizable to the
Yeah.
person.
Now, if you don't mind, go back to those original pictures we were looking at, and I saw a nautical compass rose.
Oh, dude, I forgot to show that, didn't I?
Well, I'm just making sure we do see it.
This is all right. Where is it? Hold on. Oh, here's these things are awesome too. This is a custom dartboard cabinet that I built for another local family. But where's the compass rose?
I don't think it was on this page for
Was it
some
not?
reason.
All right, I don't think
It
it
was
is.
in
I can't
shop.
believe it's not there. Some of these pictures didn't make it over. So let's go.
Oh, it'll
I
be
think it
up
was
there.
in here.
Oh, it's
yeah.
definitely
Right there. There you go.
So here's the story behind this. Gentleman in town. Okay,
That looks like a wood floor.
it is.
Okay.
This is so the story behind this is a gentleman comes to me and said, hey, I cut down all these trees on my property. He built his log cabin. It's in his game room. He's like, I want something. And he's big on this. The coordinates are actually his house. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he actually let me come into his house to take the pictures of this after he put it in the floor.
Yeah.
You can notice it's still not finished yet. It's actually going to be epoxy filled and everything. But anyways, that thing is huge. So the square, or the diamond, if you will, is 3 foot by 3 foot.
Oh, wow.
And then those boards are 5.5 inch 1x6s.
Oh,
Right.
So
that's,
this thing is huge.
Yeah.
And it's right when you walk up the stairs into his game room.
That's cool. That's in Brooklyn?
It's very close. It's right down the road, as a matter of fact.
That's very cool.
So it's deep. So it's wicked dark. What you can't see with this picture is that it's actually about that engraving is somewhere around 1/4 inch deep, because he's going to pour epoxy into that
it.
whole area.
Yeah, and it'll pop.
Yeah. So that came about by he came to me. He goes, hey, John, can you do something with this idea? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, so the wood, that maple came from trees that he cut down on his property, ran through his own sawmill, and then gave them.
That's
to me.
cool.
Wow. And how did that go? Because I know you were talking about like the inconsistencies in wood and stuff like that. So this is like native
Yeah.
wood.
It was, ironically enough, he gave me a couple pieces of maple, because that center part is maple. He gave me a couple pieces of practice on, and I found a sweet spot. And the good thing is when you're deep engraving, ironically, the deep engraving sometimes goes better because
Right.
you're shoving like so much power at it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you know it's going deep. So I wasn't as concerned with the char, the smoke residue. All I was concerned with was the depth. I didn't
Yeah.
care how deep it went as long it was there. So I
Right.
needed like 1/4 inch. So I mean, I ran this thing at like 90% power, and there was smoke everywhere. There was all kinds of residue over it, and I sanded it down. And
So did you paint those black, or that's just the char?
that's the char.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's one less step for you.
Yeah, and you know, there's that fine line. There's all these different tricks that you do to get that deep, crisp char, but you don't just want it to be char that flakes off. Like we all know that when
Yeah.
it burns, it chars.
Yeah.
The key is it needs a char, but it needs to stay there.
Right.
That's the key. So again, that goes into some of the stuff that I spend hours working on, going, how do I get it to look nice, contrast, but not lose it as soon as somebody walks out the door.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing was, I still to this day. I did a second one of these that actually hangs on somebody's wall because they saw this picture and they're like, "Oh my God, can you make one of those to hang on the wall?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean it's 3/4 inch wood. If you want to, I can point it down to like 1/2 inch, take a little weight off."
Right.
Right.
But and then that one has it still has the coordinates, but it has like a little heart, and then it has like the family's initials.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of cool. Like I'm like, oh, but it was. I think I might have used a different compass rose because I have a couple different ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, that thing was awesome. Dude, look at that. That
Oh,
was,
that's before you painted it.
that was
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. This was sitting on my garage floor. I couldn't even. I had to put a blanket on the floor to take a picture of it. I'm
Yeah.
standing on a. I think I'm on like an 8-foot step ladder.
Taking
But
it.
oh,
Yeah.
it's so cool. That was such a fun project.
That is awesome.
Yeah, this is just when I did my first. I did a what was it? The dam project for the 4-H camp.
Oh,
The
okay.
dam. Something happened with the dam, and they said, "Hey, we're doing a fundraiser."
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll come over there and try something new.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's just limitless as to, people can come up with stuff. They can come
Yeah.
off your website. This is the platform to remind everybody to buy local, hire local all the time, especially during these times, holidays.
Yeah.
Money that goes to our locals is, money that gets right back into our local economy. John volunteers a ridiculous amount of time in scouts and, just bringing up the youth. So I just urge everybody to think of this for when you're thinking of Christmas gifts,
I appreciate
and visit the website and visit John. Give him a call, tell him your idea, and he'll work it out for sure. High quality stuff. So we are on Facebook Live. Do we have any questions or anything we should address?
No, we have no questions. Just everybody loves your work, John.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. This is the Community Workbench, and have a good night. Until next time.
Thank you. Do okay.
Did awesome.